Does that play in tire selection?
Track surface here is very good. The track's in good shape. The biggest question among the racers today is what should I use as far as brand and what compound as far as softness. That's the choices.
Okay, now tire pressure is also critical in the tire designation.
Tell you what we do on tire pressure. This is a very severe right-hand turn track. Puts a lot of heat on the left side tires. What we do is we do a little stagger on the pressure. We run less on the left and more on the right to try and get the temperature up on the right side.
If you had one tip you could give to the drivers out there, what would it be?
Practice a lot and study your tire texture as far as looking at the tires. You can see when a tire is running too hot because it'll burn the tire.
Mike, thanks a lot. Jeff, back to you.
All right, we're ready for the start of the Senior Sportsman Heat Race.
Let's go take a look at who's out on that line there, Jeff. Fred Six is on the pole position. Next to him, Bill Johnson, Joe Pagoni, Kirk Edison, Kevin Harvick, and Shane Thomas. The Senior Sportsman Heat Race is on the track and ready to go racing.
Fred Six has been hot all weekend, Mike. He's been setting fast time. He's on the pole in this race, and looks like it's going to be another one for him. What do you say?
Freddie Six is a wild man. We've seen him out here at Riverside on a few occasions. Whoa! Look at this! We've got ourselves a tow truck out there.
Little bang, and already right at the start, they're kind of squeezing up number 5 there. He almost got himself propelled into the air.
Well,
Fred Six out in front there.
There he is, you know, and you can always tell Fred. He's got the number and the name that match, and Fred is always one of the front runners.
Well, Fred's a local guy, and then Joe Pagoni out of Northern California is racing right behind him. And right behind him is Kevin Harvick. He's been racing since he was a little kid. He's been doing some stock car racing, and here he is in 3rd place in the Senior Sportsman class, Mike.
You know, it's interesting. Joe Pagoni, his father, is very active in the IKF and in Joey's racing in general, and he's sponsored. He has a nursery actually up in Northern California, and they use that as kind of part of their sponsorship.
Well, that's right. These first 3 guys are already starting to pull away. Look at this. They're 1, 2, and 3, and there's Bill Johnson right behind them in 4th place, but they got a little bit of gap there. He's got to hustle to catch up to these guys.
Well, Fred Six reaching down, doing a little carburetor adjusting as they go into Monza. Pagoni trying to make a move, but he can't quite break loose.
I think he has his hands full with Harvick right behind him. This is going to be a very, very good race between these 3 guys.
Well, it looks like the front 3 are starting to break away a little bit. The Adams family has put together an interesting new section of the course. The drivers actually have a new short chute that they're actually heading towards right now, right after the hairpin.
Well, the short chute on the back part of the track there, it picked up lap times, added some more passing on this track. It's making the racing just fantastic. They're heading into it right now.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to some of the guys down in the pits, and they were really enjoying this new section of the track. It gives them a little bit more opportunity to do some passing.
All right, they're coming around on the front straightaway here. Fred Six looks like he's moving out a little bit on Pagoni.
Fred is just an interesting guy. When you get to know him, he's one of the more colorful characters out at the racetrack, and he does body work. Actually, he restores custom cars in his spare time, or actually as his line of work, and then he comes out in his spare time and is one of our front racers.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to him the other day about racing, and you watch him go around this track. Brake pads on his kart, he's had on that kart for about 2 years.
Really?
Something he really works on is how smooth he drives. You watch him with these guys running behind him.
Well, Joey Pagoni is still in that 2nd place spot. Pagoni now trying to make a move. Kevin Harvick hanging close in the 3rd place position.
I think you'll see Kevin kind of leaning on Pagoni a little bit. He's definitely pushing on him, trying to get by. He really wants that 2nd spot, and Fred Six is just out there in front. He's got everybody covered, I think, so far.
Well, Fred Six is going to have to make some kind of mistake for these guys to get around, and right now he's driving very, very smooth. And, of course, actually the front 3 driving a very good race right now.
You know, a term that Fred used was, we were discussing driving, was rolling on somebody. You see him coming out of a corner, and they actually build up a certain amount of momentum by driving right on the edge in a corner. You know, not using your brakes too much, driving the line, staying real smooth, don't bind the car up. It's a very interesting aspect of racing. It's part of the smoothness of going fast.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, Jeff. Mario Andretti has always said that the best drivers get 10 tenths out of the car, and those that are learning get 11 tenths.
Well, it looks like Fred's getting his full tenth. Pagoni trying to go on the inside a little bit. Got Harvick right behind him, but Fred's got him covered here.
Well, Pagoni's got to consider the strategy right now. This is a heat race. It's not the main event. Pagoni's got to hold on to 2nd place. He can't drop any more positions or it harms him when it comes time for the final.
Well, that's right. You know, you see Fred Six, he's definitely working on the pole in the main event. Pagoni, he's hanging on to 2nd place, and he's got Kevin Harvick just banging on the door, and Kevin wants that outside pole.
Well, this race is long from over, and Harvick can definitely make a move before it's over and move possibly into the lead. He's that kind of a driver, and he has been known to pull those kind of surprises out of the hat.
Well, as they head back down in the sandbox area, it looks like these guys are tied together, and as they head through the corner, and there's very little room, and they're looking for that chance to get by.
Well, by design, the sportsman class is supposed to be set up for entry-level racing. And these cars are designed with a spec tire and various other specifications that keep the cars very similar. So it really comes down to driver and car setup to see who's going to win the race.
That's true, Mike. It's really a balance of not many dollars to stay competitive in this class and really develop driving skills. And these guys are really giving you a real good example of driving skills
awesome.
they develop.
Look at the competitiveness here. With these three drivers and even the rest of the group, the pack's not very far behind them.
No, Johnson's not that far behind. I mean, he easily, if something would happen to one of these guys up front, he would move from fourth place to relatively first place if something happened.
Into Monza, look at this. Pagani right on the rear of Fred Six.
So this race is definitely winding down. Fred Six has a stranglehold on first place. Unless something happens to him, I would say he's definitely got a win here.
He's got a good grip on these guys, I'll tell you. Chassis looks to be working pretty good. Here he comes, ducking down behind the cowling to go into the hairpin turn. Holding on to it. He's only got about a half of a lap left, working his way onto the short chute down the back straightaway.
Pagani and Harvick right behind him, and Harvick's just banging on Pagani, just trying to get by. Look at that.
We've got more senior sportsmen coming up. This segment's been brought to you by the Yamaha Race Kart Equipment.
Senior Sportsman Racing back, brought to you by the International Kart Federation.
Jeff, they are the pep boys of senior sportsmen out here, Manny, Mo, and Jack. Fred Six out in front right now, leading in car number 6. Joe Pagani in the second place spot. These guys are going hard and heavy right now in this senior sportsman race.
Looks like Pagani's getting a little tired of Harvick banging on him there. He's pointing back at him, trying to catch some attention. Harvick almost went by him on the inside going into that, or the outside going into that hairpin back there. I thought it was going to be it. Out comes the white flag.
1 lap to go as they head into Monza. The front 3 drivers in this first heat event for the senior sportsmen are just going for it. With 1 lap left to go, who's it going to be? It's still a toss-up.
Boy, they were all spread out going into the first turn there. It was interesting. Pagani just got back inside in front of Harvick.
I mean, when these guys come straight at us, Jeff, look at this. When they come straight at us, you can only see one driver. They're so tight.
They're definitely working. Pagani's covering Harvick. He's definitely not. Look at this. He's not closing on 6 at all. He's just covering second place.
They are definitely working the slipstream today. They're sucking in behind each other and getting into the draft, being pulled right along by the car in front of them.
Last lap, Fred Six out in front. Joe Pagani in second place. Kevin Harvick in third as they head in through the S's.
Well, Harvick's probably hoping for a miracle right now that somebody screws up, but I don't think it's going to happen. With 1 straightaway to go, the checkered flag is out. And there you have it. Fred Six, number 6, taking the unofficial win in this senior sportsman event.
There are the results. Fred Six, number 6 in first, 41 Joe Pagani in second, Kevin Harvick in third place. Mike's down in the pits right now with a great pit tip. Thanks a lot, Mike. Let's get ready for the start of the main event in the senior sportsman class.
Out on the pole, it's Fred Six for the main event. He's leading the way. Joe Pagani right next to him. Kevin Harvick, Bill Johnson, Shane Thomas, and Kirk Edison. Here we come down the front straightaway. And if it looks good, we're going green.
Going to be a wild race, Mike. What do you say? There they go.
Oh, man, it's always crazy into Monza at the Adams Kart track. Here we go with all the senior sportsmen, and Fred Six grabs the lead.
Joe Pagani gets spun out in the Monza. Look at that.
Oh, unbelievable. Kirk Edison moves from 6th place up into 2nd place behind Fred Six. Can you believe that, Jeff?
I can't believe it, Mike. And look at Kevin Harvick once again in 3rd place to go through the sandbox.
What a move to come through the crowd like that. Through the Monza, he took advantage of it, obviously, of the skirmish with Pagani.
After they head through the hairpin there, Mike, looking pretty good for Fred Six. He's got a big lead over. Well, look at Harvick taking over 2nd place on Edison there.
Well, Fred Six definitely has some comfort zone right now, but he's going to have to work to hold on to it. These guys are very fast and are behind him.
Well, we'll see what happens with Harvick here if he can catch up to 6. This is a 10-lap race, so there's going to be some good action here.
Kevin Harvick's a good kid and a hard racer. Boy, this guy has been banging at it for several years now out of the Adams Kart track, and we're glad to see him out here at the state championships.
Bill Johnson right now is trying to muscle his way past Kirk Edison into 3rd place, but Edison's holding on pretty good. He's holding off the pressure of Johnson there in 4th place.
Fred Six, very consistent, very smooth. Watch his hands. He very rarely moves the wheel. When he does move it, moves it very little amounts.
Number 2, Kevin Harvick in 2nd place. We got number 5, Kirk Edison in 3rd place. And number 71, Bill Johnson in 4th.
Well, they say the smoothest drivers win this race. Well, you've got 2 of the smoothest right there, knuckle to knuckle, going at it at this main event of the senior sportsman.
Look at this. Harvick is caught up to Fred Six, especially on the back chute there. He had to get a little sideways to stay off of him, it looked like.
Well, this has been an awesome week of racing. We've seen a lot of great racing in all the different classes, and once again, the Adams Kart Track doing a spectacular job of putting on the state championship.
Harvick side by side with 6 heading into the Monza, trying to get by on the outside. That's a real horsepower move, and he didn't have it there.
Now through the S's, Harvick is right on 6's tail. Here they come. Harvick now trying to make a move.
No going there, Mike.
He won't let him by. That Tommy Neal's ride he's got is just not quite enough going through those S's.
Fred 6 in the lead spot. Kevin Harvick in second. Mike Johnson, alias Bill Johnson, in third.
Yeah, you know how he likes to sneak out there and switch names around. Keeps us on our toes. Fred 6 heading into that short chute down the back straightaway in front of the crowd here at the Adams Kart Track.
You know, it's interesting looking at these two karts. Fred's driving a 3-year-old Invader chassis, and looks like it's working very well for him. Kevin Harvick's a TNR driver driving a Margay chassis, and just look at the way these things work. I mean, just two different philosophies as they charge you on the front straightaway here, Mike.
It's unusual, Jeff, to see a 3-year-old chassis working this well, because a lot of times they lose their stiffness and they don't quite get that spring out of the corners that the drivers like to have for a winning chassis. But I'll tell you what, Fred 6 is really working that Invader to everything they can put out today. This segment has been brought to you by the International Kart Federation. Head to the refrigerator and come on back.
Action Karting and Senior Sportsman Racing are brought to you by Horseman Manufacturing. Fred 6 is just doing a job here, but Kevin Harvick is all over him like dirty coat there, Mike.
I'll tell you what, look at Harvick right on it, following him, right in his draft, going down the straightaway, now trying to make a move. Harvick going into Monza side by side.
You know what's interesting, too, is Joe Pagoni has just been pounding through. He was down to about 9th place. He's now up to about 4th or 5th.
Did you see that, Jeff? Fred 6 slamming the door on Harvick, pushing him all the way out into the dirt.
Well, you know, if you ask Freddie about that, he just kind of laughed and say, I was just driving my line.
Yeah, that's just racing. That's just racing. Here they come down the straightaway in front of the pit area and into the hairpin. Fred 6, now Harvick trying to make a move again. 6 drifts outside.
Well, Harvick looks like he has a little bit of edge on him coming towards the end of straightaways and little shoots like that, but he just doesn't have the smoothness in the line. Fred's doing a real good job out there.
Well, these two are they've got the crowd on their feet here at Adams Kart Track. Look at this, Fred 6 and Kevin Harvick hammering it, coming down the front straightaway. Here they come towards the scoring tower.
And there's Bill Johnson, number 71, in 3rd place. He still can't put a move on those guys, and Pagoni's up into 4th from 9th.
Look at this, Pagoni now moving in on Johnson, and Harvick trying to make a move on 6.
Look at that bumper, nose to tail.
Through the S's in the back, Kevin Harvick, what a drive this young man is putting on, trying to get around Fred 6. 6 is one of the grizzled veterans out here, and just masterfully driving this course.
Well, Bill Johnson definitely has his hands full, number 71 there with Joe Pagoni right behind him as we head back to Fred 6 out in front here.
Harvick is in the 2nd place spot still. Bill Johnson holding on to 3rd, and Pagoni closing in on that 4th place spot. Down the short chute.
I don't know how long Bill Johnson will be able to hang on to 3rd place. It's going to get pretty interesting back there.
Now this is the main event. This is where it all comes down to for the state championship here at Riverside. And it's just an awesome battle as they come down that straightaway towards the score tower.
As they headed through the S's, you can see Pagoni right on Johnson. Harvick's trying to go around the outside again. Still doesn't have it.
Look at this, Jeff. Look at this. Going into Monza. Harvick just slamming on the back of 6.
Definitely working hard. Definitely working hard.
Look at that. Fred 6 now trying to work the carburetor, trying to get more out of the kart. Harvick just concentrating and jumping up out of the seat there. What was that all about?
I think he's just readjusting his position. He's been tapping on the back of Fred so much, I think he was moving out of his seat.
Looks like he's got a stiff suspension. Bounced him right up and out. Boy, I'll tell you. Here they go down the short chute. Fred 6, number 6, out in front. Harvick in 2nd place.
There's Bill Johnson hanging on to 3rd. Pagoni's in 4th. Look at that.
Look at this. We got a freight train going in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
What a battle. Look at this as they come out on the front straightaway here.
Here we go. Camera picks him up. What a great shot as they come down the straightaway. Pagoni now trying to make a move on the inside, but he can't do it.
Slams the door on 0-2. Goes by on the inside.
Look at
muscles
that.
by.
What a race. Pagoni moves into 3rd place. Bill Johnson drops to 4th.
Fred 6 still hanging out in front of Harvick. Look at Harvick side by side with him.
Yahoo! We got a race on our hands.
Look at the drive he got coming out of the sandbox area. I thought he was by him.
Oh, man. Fred 6 is holding on to the lead, but he's just barely doing it.
I think Harvick's going to try and get by. I don't know. This is really going to be interesting as they get down to the end here.
This is what racing is all about. Look at these two men go at it.
God, hey, Harvick trying everything, bouncing over the curves. He's trying to get by any way he can. He's ready to go.
Down the straightaway, the checkered flag is out. Who's it going to be?
At the line, it's Fred 6, Kevin Harvick in second place. Joe Fagoni holding down third. Mike's down there with Fred right now.
What a race. What a battle. Fred 6.
Sure was a challenge. I had him hammering on my door all the way.
Kevin Harvick really was trying to twist those screws on you.
Yeah, I could hear his motor roaring behind me, that's for sure. He slammed me a couple times going in turns, but that's racing. It's not banging. It's all right.
It looked aggressive, but it looked like you guys were having a great time. It looked like your chassis was really working good.
Sure was. An Invader chassis. Jim Berry builds my motor. I'm sponsored by Budget Mobile Air and CNC Automotive.
Joe, you were awesome out there. Not quite enough to grab first or second, but you finished in third.
Well, I had a good starting spot, but got roughed down in turn one. I slipped back to eighth, and I just used my laps conservatively, and then went all out and got it back up to third. And 2 liters, I couldn't catch him, but I got back up to third. I'm pleased with eighth from third.
I'm in the pits right now with a couple of friends of mine, Walt Myers from Team Racing and Aaron Justice from Horseman Racing Products. Walt, you have a new product called a G-Ring.
Actually, Horseman has the product. I worked with Horseman the last year to develop it for karts, and it's a lateral tire support device that gives you a slightly better traction, slightly longer tire life.
Now, this isn't a product that came out overnight.
No, it's taken over 14 years to get it perfected and patented and developed.
Aaron, you've been driving with the ring around the Nationals and the Grand Nationals. How's it worked for you?
Well, we've been out here doing a lot of testing here at Riverside, and on this particular track, we have found it's up to half a second faster.
Now, this is made out of aluminum?
Yes, 6061 T6 aluminum. It flexes and returns and stays straight. Basically, it's almost like a piece of spring steel. It's aluminum, lightweight, but it springs back to a straight condition all the time.
Now, you don't use the rings on just the inners or the outers or just on the rears or fronts. You use them on all 4.
Primarily on the rear, for sure, and then on the front. It's 75% of the traction is with the rear of the car and 25% with the front of the car.
Well, one of the big things that the drivers face out on the track is driver fatigue, and you were explaining to me, Aaron, that this helps relieve some of that?
Well, yes. Going through a lot of tight, sticky corners, you have a lot of side bite, and therefore it puts a lot of pressure on your ribs. And with these G-rings, it stops a lot of that chattering and hopping in the kart, and therefore it doesn't work on your ribs as hard, as bad.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to explain the rings to us today. We'll look for you out on the track.
Thank you.
Welcome to this edition of Action Karting. My name is Jeff Peck. I'm here with Mike Johns. We're in Huntington Beach, California. It's a Huntington Beach Grand Prix.
Beautiful blue skies, sand, sea. You can't ask for more. And plus, great racing out here today. And all this going to benefit the Boys and Girls Clubs of Huntington Beach.
Class of racing we're going to be seeing today, senior sportsmen. You're going to see top drivers you've seen on Action Karting before, Mike Johnson and Fred 6. So you stay tuned.
This edition of Action Karting is brought to you by Yamaha Race Kart Equipment. By the International Kart Federation. By Speed Zone Racing School. And by the Karting Industry Council. Come back for more racing right after this.